has really bought into the culture part is a lot of players first. If coach tells you something, um, it's one thing, but when the players are saying it, it means a whole lot more. And I think more than anything, this group of seniors has really, really, really been a great leader, has been a great example of the standard we're trying to set here at St. John for our players. And more than anything, I think those 18 seniors have done a great job of leading this group, leading this team, and putting ourselves in a position to be 4-0.
Were you expecting that coming into the season, knowing you were returning so many guys?
No, we don't expect that. You can't go into week one against a really good St. Vincent Indians team after losing 53-0 the year before and thinking you're going to go 4-0. That's not how we approach things. We're very cliche and we approach everything day to day, rep to rep. Obviously there was a lot of noise from the end of our season last year, the start of this season. There was some noise of, hey, you've got a lot of returners coming, and we felt like our players did a good job of blocking that out, and we as coaches continue to tell people, hey, St. Vincent had 16 seniors. These other teams have a bunch of seniors too. Just because you're a senior doesn't equate to success. You still have to do the work. You still have to put the time in, and all those things. So again, more than anything, I think where we currently are is directly the result of this team, the players, the work they've put in, and their dedication to each other.
Do you think that senior leadership and the experience of under the Friday Night Lights showed up last week? You end up edging out a 1 point win over Potosi, and I think it showed a lot of resilience from your team. What did you learn about your group in such a close contest like that?
I don't think we learned anything. I think we confirmed it. I keep saying each and every week we've had a little bit of adversity, and these guys haven't flinched yet. And big fights, the guy that flinches is usually the one that loses, and these guys haven't flinched yet. And again, the atmosphere in our half times. Each locker room is different. Each team is different, regardless of what school you're at. From year to year, those locker rooms are different at halftime. And this group, again, when we go in there to make adjustments and talk to them, you get all their eyes, you get all their ears, and they're engaged and they're asking questions, and they're taking those adjustments into the second half. And Potosi did a really good job that first half of coming out and doing some new stuff on defense that we hadn't practiced for, that we weren't prepared for. And it led to us being shut out that first half. And, once our coaches were able to talk to the players at half, hey, this is what we're going to adjust to. This is what we're going to do. The players took it in, and obviously the second half we were able to put up 25 points. And I think that is the difference between this team and years past when I've been here, is this group is engaged, and it's not a poor us situation at halftime when the game's not going our way. They're looking for ways to win football games, and they're doing that collectively. And I think that's the piece that we've missed here is you might have one or two leaders with that effort, with that engagement, but now it's everybody. These seniors have done a good job of leading that. If you look at that game-winning play we had, it was two seniors adjusting to what the defense gave us, and kind of freelancing a game-winning play. And that's all credit to Ethan Ottens, the receiver, and Luke Ferrano, our quarterback, that continues to make really good plays for us.
Let's talk about QB1, Luke, number 10, 3-year starter with a lot of experience under the lights. How has his maturity shaped your offense this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember him coming in as a sophomore. He exceeded our expectations, and it was kind of like, well, where's he going to go from here? We didn't know where his ceiling was, and I still don't think we know where that ceiling is, because each and every week he does something that kind of raises that. And I think the biggest attribute he has this year is he's not just raising himself; he's raising the guys around him. And when we broke our huddle Friday night after the game, he had one of the best, I don't want to say a speech, but the best addressment to the team he was on, that perfectly summed up our team to this point and our season to this point. And again, more than anything, he's a heck of a football player, but more than anything, he's a heck of a human being. And for a person like that to lead the Dragons this year is something we're very proud of, and something we're going to continue to hitch our wagon to.
Talk about another senior standout, Taylor, number 69. He's a force on both sides of the ball, and I know he contributes a lot on the line. Talk about him and his presence in the trenches on both sides.
Yeah, Paul's a big human being. He was the class three shot putter, state champion, and he did not play eighth grade year. He did not play freshman year, and like very rarely do I go out of my way to talk to kids about, hey, we would love for you to play football. We feel like that's an intrinsic thing. If you don't want to play, we're not going to force you. But Paul was one of those guys that was like, hey, one, you're a great leader for our high school, and two, you're a heck of an athlete, and we would love for you to be a part of it. And sophomore year he came out and he enjoyed it, and he came back last year and enjoyed it even more. And I think this year, obviously, he's having some success, and he has just really been a catalyst for our defense when we start our game plan in each and every week. If I don't get too hard on them because they could whoop me in a second. One was Connor Tollison, who's playing at Mizzou, and Paul might be the only other one. And I'm very nice to Paul. His dad signs my paychecks, and Paul Jr.'s a monster of a human being. I don't want him to give me a swirly or anything.
You kind of talk about how a great defensive lineman can help the people behind them. Sometimes it's like taking on double teams or splitting double teams or just having that extra free runner behind you especially if you're on the end position where your linebacker is scraping right off your tail and being able to control those, and that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. That's not, the numbers and the tackles and the sacks and all that. But that contribution to the defense can be huge and I don't think overstated.
Right. Yeah. And again, that's one thing that this group has bought into of doing your job. You might not make the play that gets your name on the PA system, but you made that play by eating up your gap. You made that play by taking on the lead block. You've made that play by doing whatever your job was for that play. And again, this group of senior linemen, especially this group of linebackers, especially, and the offensive line, same thing. That senior offensive line, they do their jobs. Without the intent of, hey, I'm doing this to be recognized. They're doing it because it's their job, and they're doing it so the team can have success. And when you have guys doing their jobs like that, especially on defense, like you said, it's a big factor in allowing other people behind you to have success, and ultimately that leads to team success.
We mentioned it off the jump. You got the Rebels coming into town this weekend, which is always a physical matchup. You know them well. You've played them a ton. Looking at the tape, what stands out as far as the Rebels this year?
Well, I don't care what the year is, as long as Corey Schweiss is on the sideline, as long as PJ Jones is on the sideline, as long as those guys are there, you're going to see the same things on tape. You're going to see well-coached, disciplined, fundamentally sound players that play with great effort every snap, every single year. Outside of number 11, the numbers change. Number 11s can keep me up at night for like a decade now.
Yeah.
I told Corey, I sent Corey a message the other day. I said, hey, just once, could you give a dumpy freshman a number 11 jersey just so for 4 years I don't have to think about it? But they're very well coached and they have great athletes. And again, I don't care the year. You're going to get their best shot. You're going to get a well coached team, and they're going to do their job, and they're going to make you fight for every single yard. And they're going to play aggressive on defense, and they're going to make you fight for every single yard. And it's always a fun matchup. And I think the thing that gets kind of lost in this game is, it's considered a rivalry, but our staff and their staff are good friends. I consider Corey a really good friend. He's helped me out more than he's needed to. I consider PJ a good friend, and there's not that hate there, I don't think. So it's a rivalry for 48 minutes, but after that, I feel like our players, their players, our staff, their fans, it's a fun environment. I think it's just a good high school football game. And, we're lucky enough to experience that twice a year. I feel like every year I've been at St. Gen, we've seen them twice a year almost. And I really think it's just a really fun matchup.
We've seen a lot of the Rebels this year, and they can have so many different identities. There are times where they have heavy packages and they're just straight up the gut, hitting the A and the B gaps a lot of times. And I know their hard-nosed runner, I think he's out this week maybe. Their young quarterback is he doesn't have a lot of experience, but there's a lot of experience around him. And to have two systems where they can spread it out and they can make you, cover the whole field, but they can also get pretty gritty and grimy in the trenches and just come straight at you. That's two very different offenses that you're trying to plan for. Does that make it difficult, planning and pre-game practices?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they do a really good job of mixing in personnel, but I think it's a compliment to them of understanding their players and allowing their players to be in positions to be successful. Um, I've watching film, we kind of seen that, I know the Bowers kid may or may not be playing. He looked like he hurt his knee against Fredericktown, and he's obviously a very good lineman and outside linebacker for him, but we're going to prepare like he's playing. And, we've heard rumblings of August Black, their running back again, sophomore, who's done a very, very good job for him this year. And even last year gave us some fits. And again, we're going to prepare like he's playing. And like we told the players this week, anytime you play Coach Twice, whether he's calling the plays or not, you're going to get stuff we haven't seen. And going back to last year, I'm big and going back to previous games, and we couldn't handle their motions last year. That game one was a lot of we could not play defensively very well because we weren't prepared for all the motions we saw. And that was on me. I designed the defense that week and we did a terrible job because I did not have our guys prepared. So I think more than anything, it's trying to do your best to prepare the players for what we expect to see, but also, play football, match bodies, be ready for whatever, because we're going to get whatever. And that's, again, I think that's what has made Coach Weiss so successful is he's going to give you wrinkles. He's going to throw punches. He's going to throw counter punches, and you kind of just got to be prepared for him and prepared the best you can and allow your guys to play football.
I know you added Coach Krupa to your staff this year, and who's pretty well known as a defensive guru, and I think maybe even really, and I want to get your opinion, maybe leveled up your program in a lot of ways. Talk about his influence, and also he has a lot of experience against Central, so he knows Central very well as well. I'm sure that's helpful for you going into this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Krupe, like you said, he's a wealth of experience. I remember listening to Corey talk. He feels like his program, the Park Hills program, has really accelerated once he's gotten former players to come join his staff. And here at St. John, we're kind of in the same boat. We've got alumni on staff, and it keeps building and it keeps raising. But one of the issues I found with that is these guys don't have experiences at other programs. They don't have experiences, with different systems. They know our system, which is great, but you kind of get tunnel vision on what you know and what you believe in. And, I felt like you said, Coach Krupe coming in leveled us up because my biases and the way I like to approach from a defensive side was really not putting ourselves in the best position. And one of our big things this offseason was how can we improve that defensive identity? What gives us the best chance of success? And when I saw Coach Krupe's name come up in the free agency, I did everything but sell my house to bring him over here. Because I knew, one, he had great experiences in different places. Two, he's a great human being, and I think that hire, I knew we had made the right choice, not from any X's and O's stuff, not from how he coaches our kids, which has been fantastic. We actually went out to Farmington for a summer scrimmage, which we had set up before he got here. And the most telling thing was after that scrimmage, there was countless Farmington players, parents, teachers that came over there and hugged him after that competition was over. And I think that speaks more to who Coach Krupe is more than any record, more than, what his defenses are able to produce. I think him as a human being has helped us as much as anything. So we are very grateful to have him on staff. And like you said, I attribute a lot of our success on defense to his willingness to stick with his principles and his standards and bringing them here to St. John and implementing those to our players. And, our players have really bought into that.
You mentioned that Central's a little bit of a rivalry, it seems like. How do you keep your players focused yet energized for the game? I mean, maybe that's easy to do is get them excited, but how do you keep that focus as well?
But, it's when you're dealing with teenagers, if you can do that each and every week. You can do something special. And, I It's anytime you enter conference, I think you have to do less of that. I think the kids are smart enough to understand each and every week of a conference game, kind of what's at stake, and the familiarity is there. A lot of their kids know each other, and I think it just adds a level of hype to it, which can be good or bad. That could add some noise to it, which could be good or bad. And I think how you harness that, how you use it, is important. I think as a young, arrogant, dumb coach, I use that in probably a negative light. And whereas I've gotten a little older and been around a little longer, I think we're able to harness the good of that and use that good motivation instead of, a hatred side of it. It's if a coach has to get you motivated for a football game using that approach, it's probably not a good strategy, and it's definitely not sustainable. So we've kind of highlighted the better parts of it, and going into this one, if our guys aren't ready for Park Hills, if we're not amped up to be back home after 3 weeks on the road to play a Park Hills team, depending on what state rankings you looked at, they're as high as number 5 in some of those. If that doesn't get you amped up to play football, I don't know why you're playing. So
I know we take it one game at a time, right? The old coaches talk, but if you're able to win, if you're able to get a win this weekend, next week really lines up for the media guys. We love storylines because we talk about rivals. Well, Valley is obviously a big rival of you, and you guys would both be going into the game undefeated, 5-0. Do you look that far ahead, or is it literally just one game at a time for you?
it's one game at a time. Yeah, we if we're not focused on ourselves, we're focused on our opponent for that week. So we're one day at a time, one rep at a time. I don't even know what we're having for lunch today because I haven't looked. I don't know if I'm supposed to pick my kids up after school or not because I haven't looked past this interview and what's next for the football team. So, like I said, we know our conference schedule is pretty tough. We know we're in the thick of it. And again, the only way we can have any sort of growth each day is to do the best to make ourselves better.
What's the biggest area of growth, speaking of growth, that you still want to see from your team headed into the second half of the season?
Easy defense. Our defense has played really, really well. Our defense has played really, really well first, second down. Third, fourth down, we can't get off the field. And it's a lot of self-inflicted things. I don't want to take anything away from our opponents. Our opponents have done a very good job. We've given up 13 touchdowns this season. Of 10 of those 13 involved a third down penalty that extended their drive. It involved a fourth down penalty that extended the drive. It involved a blown assignment on our side. And when we have control over those things and we continue to allow them to happen, like I said, when you get into these big games against Central, if we continue to make those errors, we're not going to be able to come out successful. Okay, so we have to correct those, and each and every week we're no different than any other program. We sit down and discuss those things with the players and highlight where we can be better. And we just can't stay out of our own way in third and long, fourth and long, and get off the field. One of the big plays last week, Noah Walton had a fake punt on fourth down. It was the exact same play we saw the week before. We showed it to our players no less than 5 times. We were ready, we were prepared, but didn't execute. That their last touchdown drive with a minute left, we had them 4th and 13. We commit a PI play that was unnecessary. If we just rally and tackle the ball, it's our ball. It was a 4-yard, 5-yard pass on 4th and 13. We got to rally to that. We've got them 4th and 3, same drive. Everybody wearing green and white is yelling, "Watch the football," just like every school in the country. Watch the football. And what do? We jump off sides when we're right over the football. And until we fix those things, we are not going to win the games that we need to win, that we want to win, that we desire to win. So again, we feel like the growth is there. Our kids are capable of doing those things. They certainly want to. But until we put that on film, until we put it on the tape, until we put it into a game, we're going to continue to harp that that's our biggest area of growth.
Finally, Coach, we'll let you get out of here. I know you're busy. Appreciate your time today. But what's your message to the Dragon fans as you head into this pivotal Week 5 matchup?
Keep showing up. Keep showing up. We are very blessed in our community to have great support. We have a lot of passion. If you come to our game on Friday, you were going to see our facilities have been upgraded since last year a little bit, and that's a direct correlation to the support we get from our community. And without them, this thing wouldn't be what it is. And that has nothing to do with the coaching staff or the way we're playing. It's everything to do with our players and their parents and the support that we get. And we're very grateful for that. An example of that is last week we were on the road at Potosi, and things weren't going great. After our first touchdown, there was a single trumpet in the stands playing our fight song. Like, we're on the road and we hear our fight song, and it just became like a rallying cry. And come to find out, our band director took it upon himself to go out there. He drove his son out so his son could watch the football game, and he just packed his trumpet with them, and it just kind of became a rallying cry. So the more things like that we can rally behind, and help our team keep the faith and keep the belief when things aren't going our way. Those things add up when you face adversity. So I would just say to the fans, please continue to support these young men. Please continue to support this program, because like I said, this week and every week from here on out, we're going to need every ounce of it to be where we want to be.
Central Rebels at the St. Gen Dragons. Parkland Sports Live with Greg Allen, Mike Reeves, Coach Stolzer. Catch the live broadcast on the Parkland Podcast Facebook page, the Barn YouTube channel. And this is the Knuckleball Primetime with Coach Pope of St. Gen. Thanks so much, Coach.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate your coverage. Go Dragons.
Since 1941, Busenbark Flooring has been Southeast Missouri's trusted name in flooring. This family-owned business features top-quality carpet, tile, and hardwood, along with countertops, kitchens, and bathrooms, all with expert installation. Need to haul it? Busenbark Trailer Sales has you covered. Come see the large selection of dump trailers, equipment haulers, goosenecks, livestock trailers, and more. Visit busenbarkflooring.com and busenbarktrailersales.com, or stop by and see everything at the Fairgrounds exit on Highway 67.
Looking for top-quality custom sportswear and activewear? Look no further than Nouveau Athletic. Nouveau Athletic blends innovative design with affordability, revolutionizing activewear for athletes, teams, and enthusiasts alike. From affordable, high-quality team practice wear to specialty sublimated activewear, Nouveau Athletic has grown to become a leader in sportswear and the industry, especially in cheer. Nouveau Athletic, where passion meets quality in every stitch.
For Nouveau Athletic custom apparel locally, contact Tia Cunningham at 573-701-6015.
Life can feel like an uphill climb, but no one has to face it alone. Everest Counseling, based in Farmington, has been empowering individuals and families for over 20 years, offering support through life's toughest challenges. Specializing in at-risk youth and serving rural communities, the experienced and compassionate team provides the guidance and the tools necessary to thrive. Whether you're dealing with stress, anxiety, trauma, family conflicts, or just need someone to talk to, Everest Counseling provides personalized services to meet your needs. Contact Everest Counseling today at 573-330-4452.
Why do so many people like working at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center?
The pay is awesome. What we do for our clients is awesome. The coworkers that we have, the staff, everybody is just, they're all welcoming.
I feel very supported. It's a great network of people that we have working here. We really work together, I think, to try to improve the lives of those that we serve.
The insurance is phenomenal. The cost is minimal. They're good to us, and the benefits are so great, you can't beat it.
Apply today.
When comfort matters, count on Capayas Heating and Cooling. Proudly serving St. Francis and surrounding counties, they are your local Bryant Factory authorized dealer, delivering top quality heating and cooling solutions for your home or business. Founded in 2004 by Chuck Capayas, a family-owned and operated company that you can trust. Visit capayasheatingandcooling.com today. Capayas Heating and Cooling in Farmington, 756-1224.
Do you often ask others to repeat themselves? Is the TV volume creeping up higher? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Melton, and it could be time to have your hearing checked. Hearing loss happens gradually, making it hard to notice. At Hearing Care Partners, we offer thorough hearing evaluations that uncover even subtle changes in your hearing over time. Early detection can improve your hearing and your life. Start prioritizing your hearing today. Schedule your appointment now at hearingcarepartners.com. At Hearing Care Partners, we listen so you can hear.
Since 1941, Bark Flooring has been Southeast Missouri's trusted name in flooring. This family-owned business features top quality carpet, tile, and hardwood, along with countertops, kitchens, and bathrooms, all with expert installation. Need to haul it? Bark Trailer Sales has you covered. Come see the large selection of dump trailers, equipment haulers, goosenecks, livestock trailers, and more. Visit boozenbarkflooring.com and boozenbarktrailersales.com, or stop by and see everything at the Fairgrounds exit on Highway 67.
Looking for top quality custom sportswear and activewear? Look no further than Nouveau Athletic. Nouveau Athletic blends innovative design with affordability, revolutionizing activewear for athletes, teams, and enthusiasts alike. From affordable, high-quality team practice wear to specialty sublimated activewear, Nouveau Athletic has grown to become a leader in sportswear and the industry, especially in cheer. Nouveau Athletic, where passion meets quality in every stitch.
For Nouveau Athletic custom apparel locally, contact Tia Cunningham at 573-701-6015.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
Why do so many people like working at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center?
The pay is awesome. What we do for our clients is awesome. The coworkers that we have, the staff, everybody is just, they're all welcoming.
I feel very supported. It's a great network of people that we have working here. We really work together, I think, to try to improve the lives of those that we serve.
The insurance is phenomenal. The cost is minimal. They're good to us. And the benefits are so great, you can't beat it.
Apply today.
5 as the Central Rebels are on the road to take on the undefeated St. Genevieve Dragons. Two teams meeting for the 37th time since 1999. And in the first part of that rivalry, it was all St. Genevieve, all green and white. That tide turned around 2012, and then it became Park Hill's dominant. Lately, it's seesawed back and forth, and a good one anticipated tonight. Perfect weather for Week 5. Good evening, everybody. Greg Allen back behind the microphone alongside longtime former St. Gen Dragon head coach Bob Stolzer. Great to sit alongside with you. It's been forever since you and I have chatted, never in this capacity. Great to see you, sir. How are you?
Good to see you again, Greg. It's been a while, like we talked about earlier.
St. Gen and Central, obviously, you have inside knowledge about this rivalry way back, kind of when St. Gen was in their heyday of dominating things in the area, certainly between these two. And now the tide, a little more even keel. Central had a nice run there from 2012 to about 2020. Does this week feel different for the guys, in your opinion?
It's like you said, it's been a big rivalry between the two because within the last very many years, it's, those two teams have been kind of the dog fights for the conference championship, for district titles, and so forth. And it's just gotten to be a real good rivalry. And like you said, Central has kind of taken over things as far as being the dominant part of that rivalry the last several years. I think it all started when Corey took over as head coach over there. He brought on P.J. Jones as an assistant. And, I look at things like I had it whenever we were here. Bob Weiler was my offensive coordinator, very knowledgeable, great coach. And we worked well together, and the kids really bought into our schemes and what we wanted to do, and we had a bunch of great kids, and I think kind of the same things happened at Park Hills. Those guys got together, PJ and Corey got together, and the kids bought into it well. The kids worked hard, did what they said, and, combined a little bit of athleticism with hard work and dedication, and obviously it's worked out well for them. And, of course, they won a state championship a couple of years ago, and, you can't get a whole lot better than that.
We'll talk more about that coordinator front coming up in a little bit. Corey Schweitz, a little more inspiration for the Central Rebels tonight. This is the team that their season came to an end against last year, 26-16 in the district semifinals. St. Gen defeated Central, and then St. Genevieve turned around and lost in the district championship game 28-13 to the top seed in Dexter. Jay Pope enters his 5th year as head coach. You mentioned longtime head coach of the Central Rebels and Corey Schweitz, and boy, what a job he has done. And we've talked about this over the last 2 decades ad nauseum about the way he has turned this program around into what it became, the absolute monster that is now 2 years removed from a state title. Jay Pope, former Jackson guy, and he brings a lot of that kind of knowledge. We saw Jackson last week absolutely roast Farmington 56-7. I would think when you can get your hands on a guy that comes out of that Jackson program, that usually means good things, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, well, Jay's is a St. Genevieve boy, originally. He helped out here a few years ago as just an assistant. He was a sub in the school system. He didn't, and of course, you've got to have a full-time job to be able to, support your family. Anyhow, he went down to Jackson, and he took a teaching position down there, and he was a volunteer coach down there. He just got on staff there and helped out as a volunteer assistant, in which he learned a lot of things, and he's brought a lot of those things that Brett Eckley did while he was there to St. Genevieve. And, Jay's had some success since he's been here.
Comes in 34-16, entering today in his 4+ years as head coach of the St. Genevieve Dragons. St. Gen enters tonight unbeaten at 4-0, wins over St. Vincent, University City, Kennett, and then last week Potosi. That thing against the Trojans, Coach, was not easy.
No, it's just one of those games. Potosi didn't, on paper, might not have looked like they were a dominating team or whatever, but St. Gen struggled in that game, and, they were probably fortunate to come out. They made a heck of a comeback in that 4th quarter after Potosi took the lead in the ball game. St. Gen got the ball back with 2 minutes to go and were able to complete a long pass for a touchdown and ended up hanging on winning that ball game. But you never know. You always preach to your kids, and I don't care what records are. A lot of times, Potosi's record wasn't all that good going into that game last week. And a lot of times kids will read things and, they're not that good. It sort of be a cakewalk, and they went over there. And like I always told our kids, they are not practicing. They did not practice this week to lose a ball game. They're going to come out and try and win the thing. And kids will be kids, though, and a lot of times you've got to get their attention at halftime, which might have been the case over at Potosi last week. So St. John was down 12-0 at halftime, and they came out second half and kind of took control of the ball game. Potosi did a few good things, score a couple more touchdowns, but St. John played a lot better second half last week against Potosi, and maybe Jay gave them an attention getter or something because they certainly played a lot better.
You tell me the kids pay attention to the noise, the media, and social media? They're aware of that stuff? Is that what
maybe every once in a while they might do such a thing, but kids are kids. That's why you don't have 16, 17, 18-year-olds running the show and everything. And, they learn valuable lessons, and it's always fun to talk to some of our former players that I've had through the years. I see them around all the time, gotten to be very good friends with a lot of them, and they're always talking about this game or that game when we started out, and they would openly admit that, yeah, Coach, you were right. We took them lightly, and they had other intentions, and at halftime we had to do a little bit of scolding sometimes and maybe ruffle a few feathers and come out at halftime and play a lot better, but I'm sure both sides are going to be ready for this game tonight. I think there's a lot of mutual respect between the two teams.
Central and Corey Schweiss, 168-81 in his coaching tenure with the Central Rebels coming into tonight. Lost their first game of 2025 last week to a good St. Dominic club, 42-21. Other than that, it's been 3 wins and 2 shutouts. They blanked Owensville in week 1, had the thrilling comeback overtime win over Jefferson in week 2, and then just all over Fredericktown in week 3 with a 43-0 victory. Mentioned we talk about coordinators. St. Genevieve on their side of the ledger has a former Farmington head coach. He was there for 12 seasons, and Eric Krupe now as their defensive coordinator. How much can that help a team when you've got multiple brains and head coach people that have that background to be on your staff?
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know how other to describe it other than being very valuable. It's just, you give them the reins and say, here's what are we going to do defensively? That's what Bobby Weiler and I used to do. He took over as offensive coordinator. Of course, we shared ideas offensively and defensively. We would put our heads together at times, but, he ran the offense, and I was never worried about that. He's a great coach, very good offensive and defensive-minded coach. But, he took care of that, and that's one thing as a head coach you don't have to do is worry about things. And if you've got somebody with that kind of experience doing it, that's just all the much better. And, obviously he's done a good job so far.
Well, the big news out of the Park Hills camp without their leading rusher coming into tonight in August Black, 46 carries, 334 yards on the ground, averaging just shy of 7.5. He is out with a concussion. Our third man in our crew tonight, we go down to the field. Good evening, Mike Rees. I know you talked to August Black recently. What did he have to say?
I did talk to him just a little bit ago. They were out waiting for the team to come out. I first of all asked, how do you feel? He said, I'm good. Everything's good. I said, if you wanted to guess your prognosis moving forward, and he's like, I played. And I went, all right, that's all I need to know, that's what the plan will be to be able to get back with it next week. I was wondering, Greg, I worked with you in the booth last week, things in Farmington, not a very good competitive game, and then you kicked me to the sideline this week. Is that something personal? I mean, we worked together for 20-something years, one game, and that's enough to kick me out? What's up?
Look, I did not make that call to kick you to the sidelines, but you're with St. Gen royalty you're trying to match up with Coach Stolzer, so I would think he trumps you in more ways than one, probably including on football knowledge.
100% I will allow that.
Mike, I think it just got down to it was either you or nobody, because I think you were the only two there last week.
All right, I'll take it.
Chad and I had the week off last week.
As long as I am better than nobody in my career,
okay.
I'll take it. I'll take
Something's better than nothing.
That's right,
Mike.
and in this case, it's Mike Reeves.
Have a great call tonight, guys. We'll talk about here.
Mike, you do a tremendous job down on the sidelines. I enjoy working with you when you're down there, and you do a great job, and it's another asset to a broadcast having you down there.
Well, we'll see how it goes from this end tonight, guys. I'll be in touch.
Okay, that's going to be a big loss for Central is not having their starting running back.
Absolutely.
It's a tough kid. He really picked up a lot of yards in the 2 games that I've seen Central play this year, but they've got some able bodies that they subbed in the previous 2 games that I saw them. So we'll see. They might have to go to the air a little bit more tonight, but regardless, here we go.
Devin Graff to put it in the air to kick it away for the Central Rebels. St. Gen has 2 deep to receive. And week 5 is underway from St. Genevieve. Absolutely picture-perfect conditions as it's taken from the 10-yard line on the return, and a decent return for Ethan Ottens. And St. Genevieve comes out 1st and 10 on their own side of the 50 at the 31-yard line. Great to have you with us on Parkland Sports Live. 82 degrees on a late September Friday night. And we get our first look at Luke Ferranto and the St. Gen offense.
Luke's done a great job this year, not only throwing the ball, but running the ball. He's their leading rusher this year so far.
Ferranto with 11 touchdowns on the ground when he keeps it himself. And they first go on the ground, and it's Owen Roth. And maybe a gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. Luke Ferranto, part of the Capias Heating and Cooling starting lineups. Proudly serving St. Francis and surrounding counties. CapiasHeatingandCooling.com. Out of the shotgun, St. Genevieve on 2nd down and 8. Again, the ball carrier is Roth, the junior, 6 foot 170. He'll take it up to the 35-yard line.
St. John's kind of lining up in a little power formation. They've got like 2 wing backs on the inside of their right side. They've got had one split end way out to the left side. Now they're kind of spreading things out here a little bit more. They're double wing set.
Twins to the right. Ferranto again out of the gun. Central with movement, but they get back. Just underway in week 5. Boy, they are high tech here in St. Gen. Ferranto to throw. First pass in the air, and it's going to be complete for a first down and near midfield as the Rebels try to rip the ball out of the hands of the receiver. Ethan Ottens makes the catch, the senior, 5'8", 130. The field turf looks beautiful here in St. Gen. You mentioned the lights are new. And Ferranto with the option. Toss in the backfield and try to turn that near side corners. Flags come in on the far side. Wyatt Grind on the carry. Couldn't get that corner. Gained about 1.5 yards. We'll see what the marker's all about. And you look down to the right side end zone. There's a drone overhead. So, boy, they're just bringing out all the stops here in St. Genevieve.
Oh, yeah. Getting everything covered.
Greg, you talked about the lights and the lights being new. They did have a light show, if you will, as the team ran onto the field, the flashing lights and the alternating colors, and not quite as extravagant as you see at the college level and the NFL level, but pretty darn impressive for a high school game.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
Yeah. No, that's one thing we always took a lot of pride in. Our maintenance staff, our custodial staff, everybody really did a great job of taking care of our facility. And when you stop and look around, we do really have a beautiful facility here in St. Genevieve.
That penalty marched off against the St. Gen Dragons.
It was a holding call, moved it back 10.
10:20 to go first quarter. Ferranto to throw over the middle, and nobody home. Looking for Owen Roth on this near side, covered by Brady Schweiss. Central 3-1. St. Genevieve comes in unbeaten at 4-0. But head-to-head, these two about dead even. In the last 36 meetings, Central has a 2-game edge over St. Genevieve, 19-17 in favor of Central. And each of the last 3 years in a row, they've met in district play. So very familiar opponents, even though the names change sometimes year in, year out. They keep it on the ground this time, running into a pile and through that pile, and then a good open field tackle by Max Woods as Owen Roth took it over the 40 to the 42-yard line, bringing up 3rd down for St. Gen.
St. Gen's running that double wing formation. They motioned one of the wingmen that time. Of course, they gave it to the wingman in motion around the right side. I thought he was going to get stopped for no loss. He ended up picking up about 3 or 4 yards. He broke a tackle or two.
Owen Roth last week against Potosi, 6 carries, 43 yards and a score, one of 2 touchdowns on the year. He's averaging about 6.5 a carry. But 3rd and long here for St. Gen in their opening possession, 3rd and 18 from the 42. We'll swing pass to the left side to Schweigert. Back across midfield, deepest that St. Gen's gotten so far, but nowhere close to a first down to bring up 4th and about 7. And this new day and age of the propensity to go for it so much on fourth down, 4th and 7 is not what it used to be.
Of course, I believe Toronto is their punter as well.
That helps too.
If, he might quick kick here. You never know what's going to happen. Nope, they're going to run a play.
4th and 7, looking pressured, backside pressured. Toronto rolls away, throws over the middle, has a man broken up at the last minute. Central able to get there. Devin Graff just in time to prevent the 4th down conversion. And St. Genevieve turns it over on downs, and the Rebels get it with remarkable field position right around midfield. Toronto with a great job to roll away from pressure and keep that play alive.
I know there's not a lot of time to analyze and talk about it, but guys, this going for it, 4th down early in games from midfield, I know it's become in vogue, but the old-fashioned person in me says, punt that, put them inside the 20, and go from there. But that's not the way they play the game anymore.
No,
that's why you and I get along so well.
Again, with Central's running back out, St. Gen might think, well, we've got a little advantage here. We'll go for it, and I guess we'll see.
Out in concussion protocol, August Black had 44 yards on 8 carries last week. They give it on the ground, Brody Pigg. And gets about 5 as they visit the Dragons side of the field at the St. Gen 48. Capias Heating and Cooling, founded in 2004 by Chuck Capias and his wife Chris, sons Eric, Brian, and Chuck and his daughter Amy. Family-owned and operated company that you can trust to provide you with the best possible sales and service experience. They stand behind their work and are committed to being there for you for generations to come. CapiasHeatingandCooling.com. Central operates out of the shotgun on 2nd down and 5. Handoff, bouncing to the right side, trying to get around the pile, Karis Foster, and he's tripped up back near midfield, and a good open field tackle by the Dragons, and now it's 3rd and long for the Rebels. You mentioned that quarterback can double as the punter. We saw that last week in Farmington. I got to think that's a nice asset to have and can disguise that 4th down play to the very last minute.
I mean, not only running a play, but there's always that threat of a fake punt. If he's back there in punt formation, there's always that very obvious threat of a fake punt. Dangerous. I know that always worried me back when I was coaching.
Central from the 50 on 3rd and 7. Pig out of the shotgun, swings it again to the right side. Again to Karis Foster. That doesn't get much. And now Central. Easy decision for Corey Schweiss. He's near midfield, and he says we'll pin St. Genevieve deep. We're going to kick it away.
Meyer, their outside linebacker, came up and made a good tackle on the outside there.
Nick Fowler, typically the Central punter, averaging about 37 yards a kick. St. Gen drops 2 back to receive. Keelan Welsh late getting on the field for Central. Play clock not an issue. It's down to 8. Low snap. Can't handle it. Fowler now sees a bunch of green coming at his face. Does a good job just to get rid of it. Takes a bit of a Central roll. And St. Genevieve will have it around the 33-yard line. When it's all said and done, that is a tremendous job to get anything on that kick from Nick Fowler.
Yes, I mean, a lot of times like that, they're afraid to try and kick it, they're afraid to get a block, and they'll take off running, get tackled for a heck of a loss. He did a great job of getting his foot in that and getting some distance out of the punt.
Guys, what I liked about that, what I thought he did, he was in a hurry but not rushed. And that probably saved him and gave him time to make that throw, to make that punt.
Composed panic. 4 Dragons in his face and able to get something on it. And St. Genevieve back to work on offense.
And that little power formation that they've got, it's a quarterback keeper.
Toronto to the left side, he's got room and he's got blockers. He'll cross the 40 to the 50, and a good sprint run to the outside puts him back around midfield. So a gain of 17 on the play puts St. Genevieve back in Rebel territory.
Had a lot of lead blockers out in front of him that time. A double wing formation again.
Man in motion, the give to him. running near side, and Central trying to string this out to the corner, and unable to turn that corner. Wyatt Grind on the carry. And Central's Devin Graff, the first man to get there. Week 5 of high school football. We'll see Central again next week at that Potosi Trojan team you talked about that played the Dragons so well last week. Final score in that game, 25-24 with a late St. Gen score. And Potosi staying in that despite a now 1-3 mark.
Power formation again.
St. Gen quickly to the line, and again an inside give. Finding his way through traffic right up the middle is Owen Roth. And he has a St. Genevieve first down. Boy, it didn't look like there was a lot of room there, but he was able to find pockets.
Well, they're putting a couple of backs in the backfield on one side or the other. Whenever Ferranto had a big gain a while ago, they had all 3 of them. The running back that was on his left side, which he went to. This time the running back was to his right. The power backs, I'll call them, were to the left. And it was a give to the running back, and he followed the 2 backs up in the hole.
Roth with 20 carries, 129 yards on the season. Toss to him, left side. Turns upfield, has room, and a seam up the middle inside the 20 before he's knocked down.
That was a little more of a conventional offensive set. Ferranto got under center in an I formation, just a little toss sweep around the left side. And big gain.
I'm not going to pretend to remember back to the start of the 2000s when you were the head coach. Did you run as much shotgun as they do these days?
No, we changed to that when we went to the spread offense. When I started out, we were still in the Stone Ages, running basic formation.
Left side, into the end zone, and the Dragons put the first points on the board. Wide open at about the 5-yard line. Justin Slinker to make that catch, his first touchdown of the season, and St. Gen has the early lead. 5:24 to go in the quarter. Good patience by Ferranto to hang in there. And now the point after coming up for Ethan Ottens, who on the season is 14 out of 15 in these opportunities. And you can add one more. St. Genevieve on a touchdown strike, the 4th of the season for Ferranto. Able to string it out and throw kind of against his body and momentum. You'll see him roll to the right and step back a little bit. And Slinker does the rest. 7-0, St. Genevieve. Back to Dragon Country right after this.
When comfort matters, count on Capayas Heating and Cooling. Proudly serving St. Francis and surrounding counties, they are your local Bryant Factory authorized dealer, delivering top quality heating and cooling solutions for your home or business. Founded in 2004 by Chuck Capayas, a family-owned and operated company that you can trust. Visit capayasheatingandcooling.com today. Capayas Heating and Cooling in Farmington, 756-1224.
Our coverage tonight brought to you by Busenbark Flooring and Trailer Sales, Hearing Care Partners, Ryan Blankenship Insurance, Matt Stroud Excavating, Nuvo Athletic, and Everest Counseling. Greg Allen, Bob Stolzer, Mike Reeves, all part of your Week 5 coverage of high school football on Parkland Sports Live. Thrilled to bring it to you. No threat of any kind of weather issues tonight. And Central plays from behind early. High end-over-end kick taken at the 13-yard line. Rebels with Brody Cole trying the right side. He's met at the 20 and then dumped farther back than that.
Good tackle by St. Genevieve. Stood him up, and all the pursuit coming in added onto the pile up, and they're going to start off on about the 20-yard line.
Go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
Coach, I know that there have been times throughout this season that you've mentioned a coach. Every once in a while, you got to ruffle some feathers. You have to do it. Well, there was a little feather ruffling going on the Central sideline after that last touchdown. So we'll see how they respond next time they get out there.
Obviously, somebody was out of position or weren't where they were supposed to have been.
Rebels on a handoff coming near side this time. Elijah Bennett tries to turn it upfield to the 24. A couple of Dragons there to meet him, including Grayson Dowd.
Central's kind of trying to search and see who's going to be their pay dirt man for running the ball with Black being out.
That's such a big loss. Averaged 5.5 per carry on 8 totes last week in the loss to St. Dominic. They try with Karis Foster, but the ball comes out, still loose on the field, and St. Genevieve set up deep in Rebel territory as they recover around the 30.
Well, that thing was rolling around. It seemed like forever there. A couple of kids went for it, knocked it out further, and I don't know who it was for St. Genevieve, but jumped on it, and man, they've got some great field position starting on the 30.
Karis Foster lost it. A couple of Dragons had cracks at it, and
Guys,
one finally able to jump on it.
Sorry about that, guys. Sawyer Bowman was able to get on that football, that loose football.
Okay, Sawyer Bowman.
Sawyer Bowman had a solo tackle and assisted tackle last week. That's his first fumble recovery this season. Deep ball. St. Gen. Otten's got it. Touchdown first play. 6 more for St. Gen and a good ball from Luke Ferranto. And St. Genevieve going right at the Central Rebels after the turnover. 1 play and 6 more. And it's 2 touchdown passes on the night for Luke Ferranto. That one almost out of the reach of Ethan Ottens. He had a touchdown catch last week against the Trojans. That's his 3rd on the season. Pressure blocked off that left side of the line, the far side. Boy, you can see that at the snap. And I don't see there is a marker down in the near side corner. Chad Cosby had a tremendous jump. It might have been a little too tremendous.
It's exactly what it was, guys. The official had the flag down on the field before the ball was ever blocked. He knew he had seen it, and he had seen it as an offside.
Cosby came unblocked off that far side of the line. All over that kick, but a little premature on the snap.
And move her up 1.5 yards. Surprised St. Gen doesn't go for 2 being that close, but they elect a kicker
and
drilled her through.
Otten's responsible for all 7 points on that drive, the catch and the kick. And 4:32 to go first quarter. It's all St. Genevieve Dragons and a 14-0 lead over the Central Rebels. And another look at that touchdown pass from Ferranto to Ottens.
Okay, there they just run a little play action fake. They had overloaded to the left side. They ran some play action fake, that power play to the left, pulled it out and threw to Otten, who was wide open, and bingo.
Devin Graff in coverage, but it was Ottens that had a couple of steps on him. And the only question was the ball thrown too far? And Otten's able to reel it in. So 14-0 Dragons, 4.5 to go in the quarter.
Devin Otten made a tremendous catch on that. Like you said, I thought the ball was going to be overthrown.
Me too.
And he turned on the afterburners and got under it, made a good over-the-head catch, and into the end. Well, he was in the end zone when he caught it.
Luke Ferranto with early dibs on the Domino's Pizza Player of the Game. It's delicious, customizable, and brings people together. Your local Domino's in Farmington, Park Hills, Bonne Terre, Fredericktown, Potosi, and right here in St. Genevieve. They bring you the player of the game. Each game, one player will be selected to receive a free large one-topping pizza from their local Domino's. Kickoff, Brody Cole, trouble to pick it up. Central looking to be pinned in deep in their own territory again as he's able to get it out to the 20, and a pretty good effort just to do that.
The ball was kind of kicked over his head. He reached up with one hand, was able to knock the ball down, and picked it up. He was lucky to grab onto it, and he got a lot of yardage sideways, but he made a couple yards upfield before he was tackled or ran out of bounds.
Sophomore quarterback Brody Pigg back at the controls on this drive, down now 2 scores. He's got Karis Foster in the backfield with him. He fumbled on the last Central offensive play. Foster on the season averaging 7.4 per carry. Pigg going to keep this one and follow the block of Foster and gain maybe 3. When Pigg elects to keep it, 4.3 per carry, 186 yards on the ground, second leading rusher for Central behind August Black, who's out in concussion protocol. Central's used a bunch of guys to carry the football this year. But who steps up in the absence of August Black? Black also has a touchdown catch this year. Rebels are the man in motion, bit of a low snap, and immediately on a handoff, the ball carrier is dumped. That's Nick Fowler. And St. Genevieve not fooled at all by that wingman coming across the line and taking its handoff. Across 3.5 to go first quarter. Last time these two met in that district semi last year, 26-16 Dragons. The regular season meeting went the way of the guys out of Park Hills, 40-34. Here's the third down play, another low snap. Pig out in the flat near side, but a lot of work for the receiver. Able to tippy-toe the sideline and get the first down for Central, and a great job by Brody Cole. He's got over 100 yards receiving so far this year on 6 catches, and a Pig just kind of threw it out there and said, all right, you got to do the rest now.
That he did. Like you said, he tight-roped that sideline.
Under 3 remaining first quarter. Rebels haven't been able to have any kind of big chunk play yet in this one. Play clock at 9. Pig going to follow Foster right side, and St. Genevieve swarms that under at the 35-yard line, so maybe a gain of 1. Rebels next week. Again, that's our broadcast game at Potosi. St. Genevieve, they get that in-town rivalry matchup. Valley Catholic with a short trip to this field next week. St. Gen starts a stretch here tonight. This is just their second home game of the year, but 4 of their last 5 regular season games are here. The lone road trip, Fredericktown on October 10. Wide receiver end around coming right at you with Fowler, and he's met and dumped at the 35. A hit stick tackle by Max Krupe.
Krupe's son, he's been doing a good job. I think he's one of the leading tacklers for St. Gen this year. I think the leading tackler is Paul Taylor, who's a senior defensive end, and that's something you don't see very often as a lineman leading a team in tackles, but he's a specimen. He's an awful good football player and athlete.
Paul Taylor with 26 tackles on the season. Krupe second on the team with 23. Drake Meyer has 20. Here's a ball right side, lots of coverage, but Central. Markers down in the play. Fowler able to haul it in, and for the moment, it's a Rebel first down. A rainbow pass in amongst 3 green shirts. Pig able to pick out the guy he wants to make the catch, but that penalty will go against St. Genevieve.
Got defensive hold on that, and that's what the call was. So it was kind of, from that point, a free play. What a throw, though. Dropped it right where he needed to drop it.
Throw and a catch, Mike.
And Park Hills, guys, they don't throw the ball downfield a lot. A lot of their passes are out in the flat. That one came downfield, and it was impressive. Great throw and catch.
Brody Pig on the season, 68% completion percentage, 34 of 50, 505 yards coming into tonight, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, had only 71 yards passing last week against St. Dominic. We play in the final 70 seconds of quarter 1 on a 14-0 Dragon lead. Central right around midfield, 1st and 10. Another low snap. Pig has to try to pick it up and corral it. Met and hit by 3 different Dragons and finally dumped at the 46. Well, they're not able to get that center quarterback exchange out of the gun clean. Pig's having to pick a couple of these off the turf.
Yeah, he picked it up, and Paul Taylor was right there, had his hands on him, but Pig slid off of him and was able to turn a big loss into a medium loss, we'll say.
Rebels will have to run one more play. Play clock down to 12. And Pig back to work. And flags fly before the snap. They had Fowler in motion. And this one most assuredly will be against the red, white, and blue. It is indeed a false start. And Central, after a loss on the first play of this little set of downs, loses 5 more. 2nd and 17. Now they don't have to run a play if they don't want to, and it doesn't look like they will with the game clock at 5. End of 1 quarter of play in St. Genevieve, and the Dragons, Luke Ferranto with a couple of touchdown passes in the first. He's got his hometown Dragons on top of Central, 14-0 on Parkland Sports Live.
Do you often ask others to repeat themselves? Is the TV volume creeping up higher? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Melton, and it could be time to have your hearing checked. Hearing loss happens gradually, making it hard to notice. At Hearing Care Partners, we offer thorough hearing evaluations that uncover even subtle changes in your hearing over time. Early detection can improve your hearing and your life. Start prioritizing your hearing today. Schedule your appointment now at hearingcarepartners.com. At Hearing Care Partners, we listen so you can hear.
Pettis Automotive brings you the player to point to. Given to a different player every game for making a play you can point to for making a difference in the game. An offensive lineman who makes a key block. A punter who pins the opponent inside the 10, or a backup player steps up big to keep the momentum alive. Point to Pettis Automotive, your hometown choice for great vehicles and service. See the difference at pettisauto.com or see for yourself in DeSoto, Fredericktown, or Farmington. 2nd down and 17 as Central starts quarter 2. They give it left side to Nick Fowler, and he'll take it to the 45-yard line, and it brings up 3rd and long for Pig and the Central offense. Brody Pig, sophomore quarterback, 6 foot. Mentioned only 71 yards passing last week against St. Dominic. That St. Dominic quarterback, Brennan Shizin, 249 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns in the win over these Rebels. He was 15 of 25. Central with the play clock at 6. Pig calls for it out of the gun, looks right, rolls right, pressure in his face, and he is steamrolled. And there's the guy you were just talking about, Paul Taylor.
Yep.
Sack number 4 on the season, 2nd in back-to-back weeks now for Taylor. Pig turned around, looked for somebody to throw, and had 69 right in his face.
Well, Taylor was definitely open. He could have thrown it to him, but, man, that kid gets off the ball. Tremendous athlete. He was a state champion in shot put last year as a junior. Very strong, quick, very athletic.
Rebels to keep kicking away at a high hanging punt. The roll is going to turn out to make it what exactly Central had hoped for. As down around the 20, St. Jen's offense with Ferranto back on the field early 2nd quarter.
You guys, the official program that St. Genevieve puts out has Paul Taylor at 6'4", 210. No, there's no way he's only 210. There's no. That's I'm going to go 230 minimum. I'd be stunned if you tell me he's not at least 230. And it is a muscular build. He is, as Coach said, that's a specimen out there.
He's put together well. Very, like I said, very athletic. Not only big and strong looking, but very athletic as well.
So Ferranto and St. Genevieve trying to go up 3 scores here on this drive on the Central Rebels. Everybody pinched in tight on this first down. Little shovel inside pass, and St. Genevieve with Wyatt Grind is going to be close to a first down. Pickup of 9 on that. That was snap it and flip it.
He nearly broke that. Safety was still back there being blocked by one of the wides, but if he would have broke that tackle, it would have been interesting. We might have had a foot race on our hands.
Ethan Ottens split out, bottom of your screen, wide to the left. He's already got a touchdown catch this contest tonight. Toss coming near side with Owen Roth, and not much there.
St. John ran that little power formation. Everybody to the left side that time. Central did a real good job of defending it and limiting them to nothing that time.
Brody Diaz Jr. on the tackle for Central. 37th meeting between these two since the start of the 1999 season. St. John did not lose to Park Hills from 99 until 2009. And now we get a timeout taken by St. Genevieve. We'll take it with them with 9:15 remaining in quarter two. Dragons with the football and a third and short coming up when we come back leading 14-0.
Since 1941, Busenbark Flooring has been Southeast Missouri's trusted name in flooring. This family-owned business features top quality carpet, tile, and hardwood, along with countertops, kitchens, and bathrooms, all with expert installation. Need to haul it? Busenbark Trailer Sales has you covered. Come see the large selection of dump trailers, equipment haulers, goosenecks, livestock trailers, and more. Visit busenbarkflooring.com and busenbarktrailersales.com, or stop by and see everything at the Fairgrounds exit on Highway 67.
Third down and short for St. Genevieve, already up 2 scores. Longtime head coach of the St. Gen Dragons, Bob Stolzer. His tenure started here in 1989. Did you have a favorite, gotta have it, fourth, third, and short play that you knew you were going to run?
Again, that depends on your personnel and what you got on the field. I mean, if you've got some linemen, it used to be every once in a while, if we could get away with it, we put our best lineman on one side and ran behind someone. And I had some very good linemen through the course of my career here, and you'd run behind them and pick it up, or if you had a real good back, you'd pick his number for a play. That time, Ferranto keeps it on that power formation. Looks like he's got the first down.
And so third and short turns into first and 10. I was expecting a yes as the answer to that question, and then you would give me the play. You know, you watch these NFL games on Sunday, you're like, man, fourth and goal from the one. What your best play? What is it, right? Ferranto, fresh set of downs for St. John. Hand off to the man coming across the formation. He was the guy that took the little inside shovel, Wyatt Grine. And this time, not as many yards on that play. Gain 2, 2nd and 8.
Guys, when time permits, just whenever. But, Coach, I was watching out there, and Paul Taylor, in addition to being the defensive end, we've talked about him there, he's also on the offensive line. And I was wondering, in your experiences, how difficult or easy is it to transition to both? And will sometimes they be a good defensive lineman, but not on the offensive line? Something to think about down the road.
I saw him on the offensive line as well as Ferranto stands in the pocket to throw, has a man wide open right side. Catch made out near the 50 and still pushing for more into Rebel territory, and finally run out of bounds by a couple of white shirts. And Grine on the end of that catch. He's been the go-to guy in quarter two.
I think to answer your question, I think what most teams will do is try and get their best 11 on the field at one time. Anyhow, what we used to do is we'll watch this play and then go and finish that.
Across 8 minutes remaining. Fake toss after the handoff inside and over the Rebel 45 to the 43.
7. No, we used to play our best 11, what we figured offensively or defensively, and then wherever you figured you could break that specific person, either offensively, defensively, you would give them a break on that side of the ball.
2nd down and 4. St. Genevieve moving the ball well tonight. Ferranto, as you mentioned, has kept it a lot this season on the ground. That's one of the few times he's kept it, though, tonight on the ground. He came in as their leading rusher by a wide margin. 598 ground yards for Ferranto, your quarterback. And that's one of his few carries tonight, really.
They hit a sweep earlier, that power sweep. But a lot of times, a lot of those yards are picked up on scrambles from passing. I mean, if everybody's covered and he's got an opening, he turns and runs, he's a very good runner. So, it's a big weapon to have offensively.
Of 16 rushing touchdowns for St. Gen, your quarterback owns 11 of them. And he'll keep it on the ground to himself for the second straight play and out of bounds inside the 35-yard line, maybe right at the 35.
Okay, that time St. Gen lined up in the power formation left. They got things ready to go and switched to the right. Central's moving their people around to stop that thing, and that time St. Gen just moved the checkers to the other side, and Ferranto kept it on a little quarterback sweep to that side.
St. Gen, a nice methodical, slowly move it down the field kind of drive. I've always thought these are the kind of drives that can really kind of demoralize a defense. Central's defense been out there a while. You're already down 2 scores. If the Dragons can stick this in the end zone, the Rebels might be in some mid-game trouble. Ferranto again, third straight play, calls his own number, crosses the 30, spins to maybe the 27 or 28. And it's nothing fancy. It's find a hole, run through it. The passes have been fairly safe passes.
It's a little quarter or a little counter that time. Faked it to the wing back in motion, and he kept it going right.
And picked up 7.
Greg, I love Ferranto's ability, though. What I like his patience when he runs the ball. He is willing to wait and see what that line does for him. I like that. It has been very effective.
Stands to throw this time. Wants it deep over the middle. Has a man wide open. And it's 20-0 St. Genevieve. Wyatt Grine broke free. Ferranto with his 3rd touchdown strike of the night. Grine with his 2nd touchdown receiving on the year. And everything in this first half has been green and white. Here's Eaton Athens for the point after. 2 for 2 tonight. He's only missed 1 in 17 tries all year. Plenty of leg, and he is good with that kick as well.
Holder did a good job bringing that high snap down, and great kick.
Get a look at maybe Grine in that window over the middle, coming open for Ferranto on the pass. Had all kinds of time to throw it. And St. Genevieve up 3 scores here at home against the Central team that's coming off their first loss of the year. And my coach, the Dragons look like that they've really controlled. I mean, I know the scoreboard says 21-0, but Central hasn't had much offense in this contest. Not a lot of first downs. St. Jen's been moving the ball up and down the field.
Keeping the ball away from them. Again, I've talked about this before. Defensively, you're going to get a lot tireder than what you are on offense, just because you're running all over the field chasing the football all the time. So you got all 11 guys running, and it's going to tire you out some. And St. Jen's, I don't know exactly what the time of possession is in the game. That time it took them about between 5 and 6 minutes to go for that score that touchdown. They started out on their 420, and so they drove it 80 yards in 5-6 minutes, and that's 5-6 minutes that Park Hills defense is out there in the field. And I know that Park Hills has a lot of kids going both ways as well.
Well, the scoring drive before that for St. Gen took about 6 seconds. It was after a Central fumble right around the 30, and on the first play, Ferranto hooked up with Ottens for a touchdown. Good kickoff to about the 9-yard line is where Central will take this. Come back to the far side, and Brady Cole doesn't even reach the 20.
Well, St. Gen is, each time that they've kicked off tonight, their kickoff coverage team, they really fly down the field and cover that kickoff.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center halftime report. We are nearing that since 1903, located in Farmington, serving over 350 patients with over 1,000 employees, one of the largest employers in St. Francis County and growing. Find out how you can become a part of their family by scheduling an interview today at dmh.mo.gov or call 573-218-6800  6800 for Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center. This is a drive you would think where Brody Pigg, if they're not going to get points out of it, it has to be an elongated drive that takes up some yards and can flip the field a little bit. Play clock ended up at 0, but they got it off just in time. Pigg with a backside throw to an open receiver. This will be a nice chunk play for Central. One of their best plays and biggest gainers of the night. Max Woods, the senior receiver on the end of it, and that picks up 20 yards plus right there. And now the Rebels with a little bit of a hurry up. 3 wide in the formation and movement before the snap.
The two guys, well, the motion man went in motion, but the guy in the end line of scrimmage jumped. So it's going to take him back 5.
Right after a big chunk play to put you in at least a good feel-good spot, you get a 5-yard procedure penalty. Lone wide out to the near side. Twins left, but a man in motion. They'll give to Karras Foster coming across that line. He's got the corner, now some room. Foster to midfield. Tried to hurdle a man, and he's dumped right at the 50 by Talon Pinkley. And the last thing Central needs with their leading running back, August Black, out is to lose another guy as Karras Foster went way up in the air.
Foster's probably their second best running back. Picked up about 13 on that play.
Foster 162 yards on 22 carries and 3 scores on the season, and he'll get no farther than midfield on that play.
Yeah.
And it'll bring up 3rd and call it 2.
Direct snap to Foster that time.
Clock nearing 5 minutes remaining in the half, and the Rebels, you don't want to call it a must score. St. John's going to have a hard time getting everybody off the field and might have to call a timeout because of it, and they did. They tried to make a late substitution, and Cameron Vogt couldn't get all the way across the field and off in time. Pigg was going to snap it, and Jay Pope called a timeout. We'll keep this one here. Good recognition. That 5-yard penalty would have given Central an automatic first down.
Yes.
We'll talk with Corey Schweiss going to half. Jay Pope on the backside coming back from the halftime report. Mike Reeves will catch up with those gentlemen.
Coach, can a first half drive be or can be, in your opinion, is this one for Central?
You broke up a little bit, Mike. Give it again. Can a first half drive be what?
A must score that game, and if it can be, is Central in one right now?
Well, you want to do something positive out of it. Even if you don't get down there, of course you want to score, but even if you pick up, several yards, keep it out of St. John's hands, you've got some positivity coming out second half, and then Central gets the ball to start the second half as well, too.
So back to 3rd down and short, 3rd and 2, right smack dab in the middle of the field. Brody Pigg, play action, out in the flat, and boy, this receiver's going to have a tough time getting a first down. They'll actually lose yards on this. It was Chad Cosby that made the catch, but St. John was not fooled on that throwback by Central. Chad Cosby coming into the night had just 1 catch for 13 yards. It was for a touchdown in the season. And on 4th and about 4, Corey Schweiss looks like they're going to kick it away here with the ball at their own 48. And already down 3 scores, you can understand why.
Yeah, you don't want to give up another one before intermission, of course.
Central already had snap issues on 1 kick tonight. And Nick Fowler was lucky to get away. This is a much better snap. And it is a fake punt. Pass near side. That's going to be incomplete. Braden Patterson was the man that ended up trying to throw that downfield. And on a little bit of trickery, it does not work at all for Corey Schweiss. And the Dragons are set up with, again, dynamite field position after this fake punt.
A little kind of a reverse pass. Was well executed, just the passer and the receiver weren't able to hook up. St. John did have that covered, though. In Central, they got to lose, you down 21 points and trying to make something happen. It would have been a big confidence builder if they were able to complete that. But as it is, St. John takes over with 4 minutes to go, and a very good possibility to score again.
Braden Patterson on that pass was looking for Max Woods, and another timeout taken by St. John. The play clock was about to run out. But after that discussion of why not kick it away, you're already down 3. Central does try to roll the dice, and now the Dragons have it at the Rebel 48-yard line.
A lot of teams, whenever they get when they get a turnover, but you can look at this as a turnover. Of course, Central turned the ball over in downs, of course, but a lot of teams that feel it's a good time to, just like a while ago when St. John scored in that long pass off the fumble, boom, scored on that touchdown, and they got the momentum, everybody's fired up, and so let's take a shot at the end zone, and so we'll see what Jay's going to do here.
Corey Schweiss followed Mike Gatto as the head coach of the Central Rebels, and in Coach Schweiss's first 8 seasons, he never posted a double-digit win total. That all changed in 2012 when Central went 10-3, and then they had 6 consecutive years, including back-to-back 12-1 seasons of putting up double-digit wins. And since 2012, sometimes it's hard to remember, that's 13 years ago now as we sit in 2025, he's only had 4 years where he hasn't put up double-digit wins, including last year's 6-5 team. Back to work, St. John going to keep it on the ground with Owen Roth. And St. John, boy, they're getting good surges now with this ground game. They're picking up 5, 6, 7 yards at a time. This time it goes for 10+.
4 minutes, there's no need to hurry. They're not going to run out of time.
Just under 4 minutes. St. John, single wide out to either side. They give it to Justin Schweigert, and that time they'll lose a couple. Michael McMeekin was part of that tackle for Central. Second down and a dozen. They split Slinkard out to the right. Okay. Otten's bottom of your screen.
Empty backfield up.
Central jumped, thus the yellow.
I'll move it up 5 for St. John.
Now that was different. Give me the high school rule, Coach. I didn't think there was contact on the Rebel that jumped. No, They've let that go a couple times and letting it back and don't flag it. Why'd they flag that one?
No, if they get in the neutral zone, it's an infraction. They're going to throw a flag and they'll be get called for encroachment.
Ferranto out the flat right side. Open receiver. And takes it close to the 25. And another good gain by St. Genevieve. First down. Central just cannot slow the Dragons down at all in offense. They're not big like against Potosi's 70-plus yard plays. Now they had to have it late, I know it. This is, again, 8, 9, 10 at a time, and just methodically move it down the field.
Mixing it up very well between the pass and run. A lot of play-action passes. There's a sweep coming up here.
Now tossing the backfield, and blockers upfield. Now open field. Owen Roth all the way from 26 yards out. But there is a marker down. And if Roth was touched, it wasn't by much. Open field in the center of the field, but it looks like it's coming back. And much like Jackson last week when they had 2 touchdowns erased with penalties, St. John will have one here. Clock stopped with 2:40.
I didn't see what the penalty was, but it was a big one, 15-yarder.
To go into half.
Guys, I got the same problem you do. I've come over to the sideline closest to you, but I thought it was a chop block that they caught on that.
Okay, that's personal foul, of course.
We thought possible face mask up here, Mike. No matter. First and a bundle. First and a quarter of the football field for Ferranto. Backside pressure, throws to the short option out the right side in a flat. And they'll get a good piece of this back on that play. Second down and long. Dragons again next week, the in-town rivalry game with Valley Catholic. That will be here at this field. Central goes on the road yet again to take on Potosi. Rebels go home after that for Valley Catholic in week 7. And then Dexter, the team that beat St. Gen to win the district last year, comes to Park Hills in week 8. Rebels wrap up with a road game at Farmington in 9. Second down play. Fake toss. Ferranto stands all day. Open. Could not be more open. Left side. Slinkered into the end zone. Touchdown. Nobody defensively covered Slinkered. And it was as easy a pitch and catch as you could have between those two for their second hookup tonight for 6. Wow. Dragons are laying it on the Central Rebels here, 27-0. Still 2:10 to go in the half. Rebels have not been able to move the football tonight. Ottens puts another one through. Look at the time Ferranto has to throw this pass. Just nobody around him.
Kind of just a little throwback is what it was. I faked everything to the right. Ferranto rolls out a little bit to the right, and it's a throwback to the left. And good pitch and catch and good run afterwards, too, by Slinkard.
Justin Slinkard, his only catch of the season coming into tonight was last week against Potosi for a grand total of 6 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns tonight.
You know, St. John's has scored all 4 touchdowns through the air, but, you know, they've mixed their ground game in with it very well. And, again, that was a play-action pass. You run those things and you have success running the ball. That's going to set up your play-action passes, which basically it has done tonight for them.
Well, if you're thinking about trying to stay in the game, Mike, you asked the question, if last time Central had the ball was not a must score, I promise you this one is. And as Coach said, they'll get the football to start the second quarter. Rebels in a mess.
And Greg, knowing the coaches like I know them, I'll also tell you that, they want to score, of course, but their biggest concern right now is how are we ever going to get them stopped?
Yep.
Because even if we start to score, we got 4 touchdowns to make up.
Bunch of onside kicks. That's how. Coach Schweiss not adverse to the trickery, but a bunch of onside kicks is probably not in the repertoire. Another kick that Central takes at the 9, and the 21 is where Brody picking the offense will come back on the field and go to work. You look at St. Jen's schedule the rest of the way. Valley Catholic here next week. They go to Fredericktown after that. In week 8 and 9, back-to-back home games, Jefferson and a Caruthersville team that we haven't even talked about it yet, Coach. The schedule tonight, Caruthersville hosting Valley Catholic. Yes, that should be a good one.
Caruthersville's put up a lot of points this year. They're 4-0. Valley's 4-0. That ought to be a heck of a ball game down there tonight, down the southeast corner of the state. Be interesting to see the outcome of that game.
Pig, little swing pass to the right side, sidestepping a defender, Karis Foster. Marker comes in the center of the field, and Foster out of bounds near side of the 22. North County playing host to the Rolla Bulldogs tonight. Farmington, after the pasting by Jackson last week, goes to Sykeston. That Potosi team that fell to St. Gen last week and we'll see next week is in Fredericktown. A really good Jefferson County rivalry match with Hillsborough and Festus doing battle. DeSoto at Windsor, St. Pius at St. James, Herculaneum hosting Cuba. Jefferson, we've talked about them a couple of times tonight. They're at Bayless, Cape Central at St. Dominic. That's the St. Dominic team that beat Central last week. And Jackson at Poplar Bluff, St. Vincent hosting Hayti.
Look like a illegal use of hands takes Central back 10 yards.
Boy, it's been a struggle tonight for the Rebels. And not much on that carry by Pig right up the middle. And Sawyer Bauman helped them up.
Guys, I'll tell you right now, if St. Genevieve had timeouts left, they would burn them now to get the ball back because you know that they would feel like they could score again. They don't have those, though.
And with Central having the ball at the 12, Mike, they'd get great field position, you would think, if they had to punt from there.
think Central's probably going to try and run the 2 minute and a half that's left on the scoreboard, try and run that down so they don't have to punt the ball to St. John.
Pig out of the gun on 2nd and 19.
They're letting the 25-second clock go down to about nothing before they call the play.
Pig actually turns around and looks at it. It's right behind him. He's going to call his own number yet again, straight ahead, another 1-yard gain. 3rd and long. This will take another 40 seconds off the clock and should leave it with about 20 after this 3rd down play. So they can milk it all the way down to nothing after this snap. And you would think a very unhappy Corey Schweiss, a conversation with him as we go to the break.
Well, they just can't. I'm sure he's going to say that they're just having trouble getting anything going. Their defense is on the field almost the whole half, and it's going to be the key for them to do anything is get some offense going.
Pig with likely the final snap of the half. Central, as expected, on the ground to Max Woods. That should take us to zeros across the board on 4th down. And St. Genevieve, 4 Luke Ferranto touchdown passes, 2 in the air to Justin Slinkard, another to Ethan Ottens. And a 28-0 lead at recess for the green and white clad St. Genevieve Dragons. And our Mike Reeves down on the field with 22nd year head coach of the Central Rebels, Corey Schweiss. Go ahead, Mike.
Guys, thank you so much. Defensively, what have they done well or what have you not done well?
Well, there's a lot of things we haven't done well. I mean, they're playing well. St. John's playing well. I give them a lot of credit. Sometimes we are missing some basic blocks, we're missing motions, we're missing a lot of bad stuff on offense. Not a very good half at all, really on defense either.
When you go in, you talk to them, what is the message in a game like this? I always think it's a difficult time.
Well, obviously, you got to win the second half. Hopefully we can come back and win the game, but the message is going to be win the second half.
Talk to you afterwards. Thank you. Guys, that's the head coach of the Central Rebels with us. That is Corey Schweiss. His team trailing at the break, 28-0.
Same message we heard from Farmington last week, Mike. Win the second half. That did not work out for Brent Eckley's club against Jackson. Obviously, we know the animal Jackson is. But Central's got a lot to figure out in a half of football, down 28-0. I'm impressed by St. John, Coach. They looked very methodical, put together, organized, composed on both sides of the football.
Executed very well. I mean, they took the opening drive and then they ran out of downs. A little past midfield or whatever. Central got the ball and ran a couple of plays and ended up, I think it was they punted the ball back to St. John, and after that, it's just been all St. John. Every time they've had their hands on the ball, they've gotten, made pay dirt, got it in the end zone, and kick off to Central, and Central just can't get anything going, keeps Central's defense on the field the whole time. St. John will get it and methodically move down. The
scoreboard says it is.
They certainly do offensively. I've watched that probably more closely because I've been trying to figure out how can you so methodically you can run it when you want, and then it sets up the pass game, and I've been watching. Yes, it looks that dominant up front there. I haven't watched it as close on the defensive side, but when you look at what Central's not been able to do, if you can't run it, it's got to tell you that that's happening up front. Every coach will tell you if you can't block up front, you're in trouble. So the line on both sides, I mean, it's always a difference maker, and it has been tonight, and you guys know as well as I do, if the line play favors one team significantly over the other in this sport, that team is a big-time favorite. And St. Genevieve tonight, I don't know how you could argue they've done anything except nearly be perfect.
And I'm not discounting St. Genevieve. They've had good lines, but, Mike, you and I know from a couple of state playoff runs, opponents have come to Park Hills and talked ad nauseum about how big Central is up front and how good their lines are.
Yeah, and it's not the same Central groups that
sure.
we've seen in those years.
Sure,
we
absolutely.
Understand that. But you're exactly right. When teams came in, yes, they had the skill players, and Central's had some remarkable skill athletes at the quarterback and running back and receiver positions. But when the coaches would come in, especially coaches we haven't seen in a while, state playoff games, they didn't talk about that. First thing they said was, they're so good up front.
They're huge up front, yeah.
And that coach and Coach Stolzer, you did this for so long and you did it so well. Any coach will tell you, give me a real good group up front. I'll take that, and we can go from there.
Yeah, it definitely starts in the trenches. I mean, I look back on some of the successful teams we had, and some of those lines that we had here made some of our running backs pretty dead burn good. It just, we we had some very strong. We weren't really all that big, but the kids were strong and quick. And, you know, if they can execute the very fundamental things, blocking or tackling, it's just, you know, it makes it tough. But, you know, you're right, Mike. Central just doesn't have the alignment that they've had in the past. And, you know, that's one of the things about high schools. You know, you can't go out and recruit or whatever. You got to take what mom and dad send you, and you're going to have your peaks and your valleys. And right now they're kind of going through a valley, so to speak. You know, they've got some good kids. Obviously, they came in here 3-1. They're not a bad team by any means. It's just, you know, you take your starting running back out, which is a tough running back, and that's going to limit you what you can do offensively. And like I said, St. John took that opening drive and decided not to punt. They had some confidence in their defense. They went far, didn't pick up the first down, but they held Central, made Central punt to them. That was when they had that fumble snap, and their punter did a good job getting the ball. But then, you know, they went to work.
Over the Central Rebels, the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center halftime report coming next.
As the site.
Looking for top quality custom sportswear and activewear? Look no further than Nouveau Athletic. Nouveau Athletic blends innovative design with affordability, revolutionizing activewear for athletes, teams, and enthusiasts alike. From affordable, high-quality team practice wear to specialty sublimated activewear, Nouveau Athletic has grown to become a leader in sportswear and the industry, especially in cheer. Nouveau Athletic, where passion meets quality in every stitch.
For Nouveau Athletic custom apparel locally, contact Tia Cunningham at 573-701-6015.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
Why do so many people like working at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center?
The pay is awesome. What we do for our clients is awesome. The coworkers that we have, the staff, everybody is just, they're all welcoming.
I feel very supported. It's a great network of people that we have working here. We really work together, I think, to try to improve the lives of those that we serve.
The insurance is phenomenal. The cost is minimal. They're good to us, and the benefits are so great, you can't beat it.
Apply today.
When comfort matters, count on Capayas Heating and Cooling. Proudly serving St. Francis and surrounding counties, they are your local Bryant Factory authorized dealer, delivering top quality heating and cooling solutions for your home or business. Founded in 2004 by Chuck Capayas, a family-owned and operated company that you can trust. Visit capayasheatingandcooling.com today. Capayas Heating and Cooling in Farmington, 756-1224.
Do you often ask others to repeat themselves? Is the TV volume creeping up higher? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Melton, and it could be time to have your hearing checked. Hearing loss happens gradually, making it hard to notice. At Hearing Care Partners, we offer thorough hearing evaluations that uncover even subtle changes in your hearing over time. Early detection can improve your hearing and your life. Start prioritizing your hearing today. Schedule your appointment now at hearingcarepartners.com. At Hearing Care Partners, we listen so you can hear.
Since 1941, Bark Flooring has been Southeast Missouri's trusted name in flooring. This family-owned business features top quality carpet, tile, and hardwood, along with countertops, kitchens, and bathrooms, all with expert installation. Need to haul it? Bark Trailer Sales has you covered. Come see the large selection of dump trailers, equipment haulers, goosenecks, livestock trailers, and more. Visit boozenbarkflooring.com and boozenbarktrailersales.com, or stop by and see everything at the Fairgrounds exit on Highway 67.
Looking for top quality custom sportswear and activewear? Look no further than Nouveau Athletic. Nouveau Athletic blends innovative design with affordability, revolutionizing activewear for athletes, teams, and enthusiasts alike. From affordable, high-quality team practice wear to specialty sublimated activewear, Nouveau Athletic has grown to become a leader in sportswear and the industry, especially in cheer. Nouveau Athletic, where passion meets quality in every stitch.
For Nouveau Athletic custom apparel locally, contact Tia Cunningham at 573-701-6015.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
Back inside the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center halftime report. Greg Allen, Bob Stolzer, Mike Reeves thrilled you with us in week 5, and there's not been a lot that's gone right for the Central Rebels, trailing 28-0. Coach, the story in the first half has been really Luke Ferranto and the 4 touchdown passes. Obviously, that's where the points come from, but he's had all kinds of time to throw those passes, and St. John's offense, Central just hasn't found a way to stop it. I'll ask you this. You said coming in you've seen Central twice this season already, the Jefferson game, the Fredericktown game. I know the Fredericktown game is a bit of a mismatch, but the Jefferson game went to overtime. How much different does Central look tonight than those 2 games?
Completely different. Well, against Central, it was kind of back and forth. It was a fun football game to broadcast, watch, or do whatever you wanted to, and it came down to the final play of the ball game, which Central came out on top on that nifty trick play way down deep in their own territory. But and then against Central last week, they kind of did to Fredericktown what St. John is doing to them tonight. Mm-hmm. 2 weeks ago, they kept the ball away from Fredericktown, and when Fredericktown would get their hands on the ball, it's just they'd run 3 and out, and then Park Hills would take advantage of it, and pretty lopsided score, which right now 28-0 isn't necessarily a lopsided score, but it's it's leaning that way. But it's just been a dominant first half for St. Genevieve. They've taken advantage of things. They've mixed the run in with the pass very well. Run a lot of power formations, and then they run some play-action passes off the power formations for not only some good completions but some touchdowns as well. Ferranto's run a lot of power plays, which haven't had the opportunity to see St. Gen play all year, but your quarterback beating your leading rusher, obviously they've run a lot of that in the first 4 weeks of the season, but and they're doing everything right tonight on both sides of the ball. Their special teams, again, they're perfect on their PAT, and like I mentioned earlier on some of their kickoffs, their kids get down there in a hurry covering those kickoffs and limit the Central to very little on their kickoff returns.
It's a popular thought in the broadcast world, and I'm not sure coaches are always truthful when they give us the answers, but I've got a former coach that now has no reason to lie to me, so I'll ask you. Do coaches really try to change this much stuff that some people might think at the half? Is there much that can go on in that locker room that you can talk about and come back and be vastly different in half two?
No, basically you make adjustments at halftime. You know, if the team you're playing is doing something a little bit differently than what you expected during, when watching film or whatever, you might have to make some adjustments. You talk to your kids, ask them, well, what's going on differently or whatever, and you make minor adjustments, but you're not going to see a lot different coming out. It's just Central's going to have to execute if they want to get something going. They're going to have to give the Pig kid some time to throw the ball if they're going to pass it, which he hasn't had a lot, and their line's going to have to make some holes or get a little bit better blocking, give their back some running room. They haven't been successful on too many. They've thrown a couple of nice completions on the night, but it's just they can't be consistent in anything that they're doing. They're going to have to try and get some consistency, and it'll be interesting if they can get anything going with the opening kickoff second half here, and if they can't, might be a long second half for them.
Well, you heard the conversation with Corey Schweiss going to the half. We'll hear from the St. Gen lead man, Jay Pope, coming up as we bring you back from the halftime report and get set for the third quarter. The rest of the slate of games for Week 5 around the area tonight. The North County Raiders are on their home field at Raider Field to take on Rolla. Farmington's on the road at Sykeston. Fredericktown playing host to the team we'll see next week in Potosi. Hillsboro at Festus. Valley Catholic travels to Caruthersville. DeSoto goes to Windsor. St. James is entertaining St. Pius. Cuba is at Herculaneum, Jefferson at Bayless, Cape Central at St. Dominic, Jackson travels to Poplar Bluff, and Hayti at St. Vincent. Rebels 3-1. The Trojans out of Potosi are 1-3. That's the broadcast game next week on Parkland Sports Live. That's part of Week 6 as we've turned the corner to the back half of the 2025 high school football season. 9 regular season weeks, and then districts open up in Week 10.
Well, it's really hard to believe that Week 5 is here, that we're playing Week 5 already. This fall has really flown by, and weather-wise, what a perfect night for football. I don't know what temperature is right now, but it's very comfortable. I know the previous weeks in the press boxes have been a little warm, but right now very comfortable, and it's just some last couple of days have been beautiful fall weather, football weather.
No doubt about that. Open windows here in the press box, 70 degrees right now here in St. Genevieve. 28-0, Dragons with the lead. The head coach of the Dragons and Jay Pope, the conversation with him coming up on the backside of this break on Parkland Sports Live.
Why do so many people like working at the Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center?
The pay is awesome. What we do for our clients is awesome. The coworkers that we have, the staff, everybody is just, they're all welcoming.
I feel very supported. It's a great network of people that we have working here. We really work together, I think, to try to improve the lives of those that we serve.
The insurance is phenomenal. The cost is minimal. They're good to us, and the benefits are so great, you can't beat it.
Apply today.
When comfort matters, count on Capayas Heating and Cooling. Proudly serving St. Francis and surrounding counties, they are your local Bryant Factory authorized dealer, delivering top quality heating and cooling solutions for your home or business. Founded in 2004 by Chuck Capayas, a family-owned and operated company that you can trust. Visit capayasheatingandcooling.com today. Capayas Heating and Cooling in Farmington, 756-1224.
Do you often ask others to repeat themselves? Is the TV volume creeping up higher? Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Melton, and it could be time to have your hearing checked. Hearing loss happens gradually, making it hard to notice. At Hearing Care Partners, we offer thorough hearing evaluations that uncover even subtle changes in your hearing over time. Early detection can improve your hearing and your life. Start prioritizing your hearing today. Schedule your appointment now at hearingcarepartners.com. At Hearing Care Partners, we listen so you can hear.
Since 1941, Busenbark Flooring has been Southeast Missouri's trusted name in flooring. This family-owned business features top quality carpet, tile, and hardwood, along with countertops, kitchens, and bathrooms, all with expert installation. Need to haul it? Busenbark Trailer Sales has you covered. Come see the large selection of dump trailers, equipment haulers, goosenecks, livestock trailers, and more. Visit busenbarkflooring.com and busenbarktrailersales.com, or stop by and see everything at the Fairgrounds exit on Highway 67.
Life can feel like an uphill climb, but no one has to face it alone. Everest Counseling, based in Farmington, has been empowering individuals and families for over 20 years, offering support through life's toughest challenges. Specializing in at-risk youth and serving rural communities, the experienced and compassionate team provides the guidance and the tools necessary to thrive. Whether you're dealing with stress, anxiety, trauma, family conflicts, or just need someone to talk to, Everest Counseling provides personalized services to meet your needs. Contact Everest Counseling today at 573-330-4452.
And all St. Genevieve first half. Luke Ferranto with his 4 touchdown passes. St. Genevieve back on the field. Central is as well, ready for the second half coming up in a few minutes. Rebels will get the football first. And we'll see what kind of changes Corey Schweiss and company can make and see if they can cut into this 28-0 deficit. Waiting a conversation with fifth-year head coach of the St. Gen Dragons, Jay Pope. First year here in Dragon Country, 2021, he went 7-4, then back-to-back 8-win seasons. Last year, 7-5, as the Dragons went out to Dexter 28-13 in the district championship game. St. Gen hasn't had a double-digit winning season since 2015. Kenny Wyke in his first year taking over for Coach Stolzer. 10-2 in 2015, the last time the Dragons had double digits in the win column in a single season.
Jay had snuck out here.
So 28-0 is where we sit. 4 touchdown passes by Luke Ferranto. He's got 1 to Ethan Ottens, 1 to Wyatt Grind, and 2 to Justin Slinkard. Mike, if you're ready. We're going to have this Mike Reeves on the field for the start of the second half again for the second straight week.
There comes Coach Pope jogging down the sideline toward Mike, I believe. Official cuts him off.
Go ahead, Mike, when you're ready.
All right, thank you. Coach, lots of coaches will always tell us we can always improve on stuff. That was an awfully good first half. What'd you see?
Yeah, I hate to be cliche, but there's stuff to improve on. We had some stupid penalties, some unsportsmanlike penalties that I hate that. I hate that. We're better than that. That's not who we are. Clean up the penalties, and we got to finish our blocks. There's a lot of Clark Hill's doing a good job stringing stuff out, filling gaps, being aggressive, but we got to finish those blocks. So if we can do those things, we feel like we can get out of here and get out of here with a win.
Talk to you post game.
Thanks, sir.
Guys, I'm not involved with the kickoff. They're ready to go. And, yes, Coach can still find things to work on in a 28-0 first half lead.
Well, as the former head coach, is that a now current coach just being picky?
You don't want to come out and say, "Oh, we did good, we were perfect." No, there's always things. Like I always told our kids, I get after you. I'm trying to make you better. I'm going to criticize you for this and that, and I will compliment you at times. And I'm sure Jay complimented him in there at halftime. Said, "Guys, we're doing this and that," but just like he mentioned, the penalties, the dumb penalties that they're doing, you don't want to see those things. So there's always room for improvement. And as a coach, a teacher, you're trying to get the best out of your kids. So there's always room for improvement.
Well, Rebels will touch the football first, and we'll see exactly what Brody Piggott and the offense can do. Greg Allen, along with 2016 Missouri Sports Hall of Famer Bob Stolzer up here in the booth. Mike Reeves is not in the Hall of Fame. That's why he's on the sideline tonight. 28-0 at the half. Central readying for a road trip to Potosi. And again, St. Gen right back here. Start of 4 games in 5 weeks on this surface at this facility. They get Valley Catholic. I know Athletic Director Jeff Nix was telling us, and I don't know, I'm actually asking. He said the parking situations is a nightmare for all the construction. What is the construction all about? I'm truthfully asking.
They're starting to build a wrestling room. They passed a bond issue a few years ago, and a new wrestling room was part of that thing. So they're making kind of an outdoor facility. Anyhow, that's what they got going right now.
Rebels will take it around the 15-yard line and then start better than the 20 for one of their recent drives. Brody Cole on the return, and so Piggott the offense back to work to start the second half.
Just to put a wrap on your thought a minute ago, the fact I'm not in a Hall of Fame somewhere just tells you the voting process is flawed, and they need to fix it.
Thanks, Mike. I'd vote for you, Mike.
Rebels' first loss came last week to St. Dominic, 42-21. Single wide out to either side, another low snap to Pig. He'll hand it off to Karis Foster. Foster fumbled in the game earlier in the first quarter. And some of his teammates have to kind of pull him back to his feet as he gets to the 36-yard line, maybe 37.
Pulled a couple of backside linemen, tried to get a lot of people at the point of attack that time, picked up a couple of yards. Now if they can continue that, get something going, keep the ball out of St. Jen's hands.
I just feel like Central needs a drive that takes up a couple of minutes and has them feeling pretty good in a good spot. Okay. Out to the 40 on that carry. So a 3rd down and 4. Get some first downs. Get something positive. You're not going to get 28 points in one drive. St. John with some, again, late substitutions. They're able to make it and get the exchange done this time, including another one.
Central's pretty well keeping everybody inside the tackles. They got a couple of tight ends. I think they probably, you talk about adjustments a while ago. I think one adjustments they talked about doing or that they're doing is they're just going to try and run the ball right at St. John, nickel, dime them in depth, like you said, try and pick up a couple of first downs. But here they're faced with 4th downs, down 28-0. Need a couple of yards. They're going to probably do what they've done the last 3 plays, try and power it for a couple, 2-3 yards and get that first down.
Karis Foster on that last take. Everybody in tight for Central on 4th and 2. Opening drive of the 3rd. Pig, last man through that pile. Foster again, and he did not get it.
No.
St. Genevieve holds on the opening Central possession of the second half, and it's 4 and out, and a start for the Dragons in Rebel territory.
No.
Central just trying to force it down their throat, and the Dragon defense stood tall.
There was a time where that was one of the fortes of Central with the linemen that they had in the past, but didn't work for them that time. St. John takes over.
So now it's Ferranto in the offense. Up 4 scores with Wyatt Grind in motion. Again, lots of time. Ferranto looking for it all. Deep ball, left side, single coverage. Incomplete, broken up near the goal line. He wanted Ethan Ottens for the second time tonight on a 6-point throw.
a lot of time to throw the ball. And, their kids are sticking with their blocks. Central had a couple of kids in the backfield, but St. John's offensive players were still with them blocking, and Ferranto just moved out of the way a few times and then nearly hooked up.
Maybe a little underthrown on that ball from Ferranto. It hung up there and let the DB get in coverage and able to make a play. So 2nd and 10 from the 42. Ferranto on the toss, near side with Owen Roth, and there's exactly what Coach Pope was talking about. Central at times, including that time with Max Woods, able to string some of that extended stuff to the sides out and make tackles for losses or nearly no gain. No gain there, 3rd and 10. Good play by Woods. Dragons gifted good field position here in the 3rd after 4 plays and out for Central in their first series of the second half. Rebels shifting one guy from the left side of the line now to the right. That's Chad Cosby. Grind in motion. And Ferranto again stands. And again, as much time as he wants. Over middle, pass caught. First down, St. Genevieve. It's Roth. And he's down to the 20. The amount of time Ferranto's got to throw the ball is incredible.
A lot of time on the sprint out. I mean, he sprinted away. I don't know what Central did. St. Jim was audible and changing the play. I guess Central thought that they were going to try and run it over to the St. John left side because they brought another man over there, but St. John went the opposite way. Chess game nowadays.
Single coverage bottom of your screen with Eaton Athens, the senior. They keep it on the ground, though, and Max Woods right there to meet the ball carrier. Flag comes in late after the play, and they gained 1 on the carry.
Fisher was pointing to St. Genevieve.
Personal foul against the Dragons. So the 2 things that Coach Pope talked with Mike Reeves about at the half, we've already seen here in the first 5 minutes of this 3rd quarter. As he put it, stupid penalties, and also Central able to take those wide plays and hold them to minimal gain. Saying the Dragons need to block that better. Now 2nd and long, 24 to be exact, from the 34. And Roth switches sides with Ferranto and then takes the carry and trying to haul him down from the backside is Michael McMeekin. Good penetration by McMeekin just to be right there after the handoff.
St. John lined up a little power formation to the left side that time and then went back the opposite way to the right side. St. John's running a lot of offensive formations tonight.
They lost 2 yards on that play. St. John's got to get to the 10-yard line to get a first down. It's 3rd and 26. But if Ferranto wants to put it in the air, which he will here, he's had time so far. Spins away from pressure, now back to the middle of the field and slides. And he's inside the 30 at the 28. And a Rebel down. Well, that'll bring up 4th down. And Jay Pope will have extra time to decide what he wants to do here on 4th down and long. High school conventional wisdom is usually in this part of the field on 4th down, you'd go for it, but 4th and 19 is a different story.
Well, they're out of field goal range, I would think. Punt's not going to gain them a lot, so it's just, it's kind of a no-brainer, I would say. You go for it. I know it's a long ways to go for a first down, but regardless, get some yardage, and Central's not going to have very good field position no matter what St. John does decide to do on this.
Long look at the injured Central Rebel who continues to lay on his back at the 32.
Does it look like defensive lineman Jason Thrickeld is the one that's down?
Thrickeld, the senior, 6'3",
You hate to see anybody go down like that, and when they do go down, you hope it's a crump or a cramp or some other little boo-boo. You always hope that it's nothing real serious or that's going to really sideline a kid.
Different senior in Wesley Williams. Sorry, Mike.
Thank you. No, all good. I just wanted to make sure that we had that identification right.
I got you.
He's holding his abdomen. He might have just gotten the wind knocked out of him, hopefully. He's walking okay the way it looks.
Well, I haven't done that since I was a kid. That always sucked. I hated that. I mean, when's the last time you had the wind knocked out of you, right?
Yes.
That used to happen, I don't want to say frequently, but it was definitely, I was a kid.
Yes, as a kid.
Oh, it was awful.
And occasionally you're playing football, every once in a while you get it knocked out of you, and it takes a while or whatever. But
now that you mention it, it's like, man, that hasn't happened in 30 years or, whatever. Or in Mike's case, 60 years. See, he's old enough to be in a Hall of Fame. He's just not. Ferranto on 4th down. Runs away from pressure, got a bit of a block, has still time, can't find a receiver, and Central's going to get the ball back. They eventually chase him out of bounds.
Central did a good job on pass coverage that time. Ferranto just couldn't find anybody open to throw the ball to. He had, quite a bit of time, and that's one of the tough things as a D-back. When your quarterback has that much time to throw the ball, it's awful hard to play pass defense, but Central did a real good job that time sticking with the receivers and the secondary.
Greg, if you want to experience that wind knocked out of you again like you would want to, I've got a 4-year-old granddaughter whose expertise is leaping into your midsection when you least expect it. So I can give you a shot.
I'm going to pass on that, but thanks. I appreciate the offer. Brody Cole taking this one and beating Dragons into the open field, turns it upfield, down the sideline, and finally out of bounds in Dragon territory, and they'll spot him at the St. Gen 45. One of the biggest offensive plays of the day for Central.
Getting something going didn't work.